Hello! Welcome to Chapter 6 of our Stranger Things Season 1 commentary. This one is The Monster. I wonder what this one's going to be about.
The monster.
The Monster! Being chased by
I think the creepiest part is he's
monster.
experiencing what his mom experienced with Will, where they're in the same area, and he can like hear almost like a faint echoing of
Yeah.
her.
He's probably thinking, man, people really shouldn't go here.
Even though I'm kind of like with the Demogorgon running around, I don't know if I'd be yelling.
Well, it's
As scared as I am, like
yeah, but it's clearly on your tracks. I think at this point, it's like all bets are off. It's like, listen, just
yeah, true.
and because it's an ambush predator, it looks like it's yeah. See that shot right there made me think of Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, I think that was a practical shot too. 'Cause
Yeah.
it looked really creepy. He's like, the fuck is that?
It's funny too because the Demogorgon is mostly CGI. Usually, it's only a
Yeah.
few shots where it's an actual practical suit. I'm kind of curious where they shot that. I mean, also this is a set. I love that. I love that. I love when they do that with monsters when it's stalking you and you don't really see. Yeah, even the way it's moved in its hand, it looks just like Pumpkinhead right there.
It's funny because obviously it doesn't really have a face. It's got like, it's like the petal face where it opens to be like a big old lamprey mouth. So like I think that's why it hunts usually by blood. I'm assuming it's scent.
Well, yeah. Well, again,
So
it's
it makes sense why if she's holding still.
well. I think
can't
its
find
whole
her.
thing is a big amalgamation. Like its overall body makes you think of Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
The mouth makes me think of the eggs from Alien, the xenomorph eggs. How they have those petals that kind of
I'm
open
sure
up.
that was no mistake.
Oh yeah, but the fact that it doesn't see makes you think of Graboid from Tremors. I mean, I know technically Tremors came out in 1990, but it's still kind of considered like an 80s creature feature. Or they used sound to hunt. I like here it's using its smell. And like the xenomorph, it doesn't have eyes.
Yeah.
So again, it's relying on another sense to hunt. So again, I love how there's a tail. Like in Tremors, like oh god, don't.
Now he's like, oh shit, my mom wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Fuck, I've been an asshole.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have been an asshole to
Yeah.
Joyce, so she's gonna need a hell of a thank you card when this is all said and done. But yeah, no, I like it when they have monsters that don't just look and see you. They rely on another means. Again, like the xenomorphs, no one really knows how they. I know there are some iterations of the films where it looks like they are seeing, but clearly they're seeing in a very different way. The graboids use sound. Even the predator, who has eyes, hunts using heat vision. So I always think it's cool when they have creatures that just don't look at you. They're using something else, which then makes it scarier because then it's like, okay, if I hide, well, something like a normal thing that'd be enough to keep me safe. But clearly this thing isn't relying on its vision. So just because I'm hiding from it visually doesn't mean it can't find me. That makes it even scarier because now you don't really realize like, oh shit, am I really safe? I'm hiding behind a tree, but if I'm bleeding, in theory, it knows exactly where I am, which is cool. See, again, I like how he's still like yeah, I like how they're saying that these two are so just
Yeah,
narcissists.
They're the classic douchebags.
Well, and again, they've been a couple since like what junior high, blah 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 blah, and you have to realize that they're probably not in love with each other.
No.
It's probably they're the only people who can
Stand each other.
yeah, exactly. You really, who the fuck would want to be with either one of them? Like she's just a vapid bitch, and he's just literally a giant pile of just
Even though I'm like, Steve, why would you
excrement.
bring them with you?
Well, they're your buds. I mean, it's kind of how it was. You rolled with your friends back in the day. I mean, I mean, whatever. It is what it is, yeah.
Yeah, and this is why he goes in full douche mode. Because obviously, for him, who doesn't know what's going on, it's going to look really bad.
Yeah, and again, and that's why I say, again, like the dad, it's all about perspective. From looking at it from his perspective, he was being understanding, he was being nice,
Yeah.
and she basically says, listen, I don't have time for you right now. Not because I don't have time for you, because I don't have time for a relationship, because there are more serious things. And he understood. He's like, okay, that's fair. So from his perspective now, it's like, oh,
You're just
No.
a lying, cheating bitch.
Yeah, you have time for relationships. You don't want one with me. And at the very least, if you could just tell me that, just be
Yeah.
honest with me. Basically, right now she's coming across as like the cheating, like the
Yeah.
B. Where normally it's the other way around. Now again, that's not what's going on. But again, I like how this show does that. It shows you things that on the surface look like one thing, but underneath it's actually something else. Like she's not really with the other guy, but he doesn't know that. And the reason why she's not telling him what's going on is because she's actually trying to protect him. She doesn't want to drag him into this because what if he gets hurt? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, I like that. It's just all of it's just a really big misunderstanding. Again, I love how he's being a detective here. I love how he's putting the pieces together. He's like solving a puzzle. I love that. Some of my favorite parts of like these kind of creature feature stories is when they have to sit around and kind of figure things out. I love that.
Oh, Jesus.
That's rough, sweetie. Oh, she's put that ring in the shower.
I don't know.
I know some people do that. They never take off their rings. And God, watch Pumpkinhead, especially the first one. They do a lot of cool silhouette shots of him like that, and it's just... See, and I love that there's like... There's a consequence. I love that she's not just like, oh, we saw the monster. If you legitimately saw that, like, that shit would mess with you.
Yeah.
Like, and I like how you see her, like, she's having a hard time processing that. She wanted to find it. She wanted to see what's going on. But once you are confronted with the truth, it's heavy, man. And it takes a toll. It's not just like, okay, now I know. It's like, okay, yeah, now you know. And it's,
Well, and it's funny because it's one of those things where obviously we're assuming you've watched this before. So
I'm hoping you watched this before.
Yeah. So spoilers if not, but obviously, when Will comes back, she's seen the Demogorgon. Where think about it, the other kids, they don't actually see it really.
Well, not till the end.
Well, yeah, but they didn't see it like she just did. They were chased. I mean,
they are, but
around,
pretty much as soon as they see it, like again, spoilers, 11 whoops its ass. So they're never really in a vulnerable position
not like
with
she
it.
Was.
Yeah, they basically had.
So it'll be interesting to see.
She was at its mercy. You know what I mean? Whereas they were like, okay, they thought they were, but they never were because 11 steps up and just fucks.
And again, look how fucked up she is from just that. And Will's been there like a week.
Yeah, she got a taste.
Yeah.
He's been dodging. You know what he kind of reminds me of? And again, yeah, Newt. It's not a coincidence, I'm sure. But yeah, Newt from Aliens, where there's a great scene where Hudson, one of the Marines, the Colonial Marines, is freaking out. He's been in one battle with the aliens, and granted, half the platoon gets fucked up. Yeah, more actually. And he's losing his shit. And Ripley's basically telling him, listen. This, they say we need to survive for a few, 24 days before we can expect rescue. And he's like, we're not going to survive 24 hours, And she's like, listen, this little girl survived longer than that with no weapons and no training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and he basically telling her, listen, you're a fucking trained soldier. Get your fucking shit together. You know what I mean? And here's this little boy who was, I'm sure Will's going to have some problems.
Oh, yeah.
But he survived. He did it. He didn't just, he didn't get killed the first day. He was smart enough to hide, to survive, you know what I mean? And I think people underestimate the power of children, whereas, like, I think children are much more closer to a basal instinct level than I think adults are.
Yeah.
So... I think a child can much more easily switch modes, gears real quick.
They can adapt easier, basically. Like, it's not that they want to, but they can.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'4". I weigh close to 260 pounds. I work out. What's your fucking point? Well, my point is, I'm used to kind of moving through life like I'm the tough guy. If there's a problem,
You're the demo
I can kind of maybe resolve it with perhaps force or like I'm strong, not obviously not always, but I have that about me because again of my size. I move around through life bigger than most people. When you're a kid, you're used to being small, so your first instinct when it's fight or flight, your first instinct is usually just flight because you're smaller and the idea of coming up against something that's bigger, stronger, scarier than you is a real possibility. You know what I mean? You walk around through a grocery store, and probably 90% of the people around you are bigger than you, and if they wanted to reach out and hurt you, they could. I don't have that problem as much. So if I find myself upside down and I see the Demigorgon, oh yeah, I'm going to want to run, but I might also be walking around thinking, well, maybe I could protect myself. Maybe if I pick up a big stick or a rock, I could, yeah, I don't want to run into anything bad, but because I'm running under that kind of, mental thought process, I perhaps might not be utilizing the best means of surviving that I probably should, because I have this air of power to me which in the place like that, I'm fucking dead. Like, I don't think for a second that I could beat up the Demigorgon. But
well, she luckily was able to get back through the same way she
yeah.
went in, whereas...
But a kid would automatically not have this stupid even
yeah.
thought that, well, maybe I could. No.
Run.
You're going to run, you're going to hide, you're going to use the most cowardly means you can, because those are the only means that stand you any chance of actually maybe surviving. And I think that's why a child, ironically enough, in situations like that, maybe sometimes stand. There you go. And again, I love right here, she's doing this for her friend. I liked how she's like, we have to try. She saw the hellhole that's on the other side.
Thank God.
Well, to be fair, it is the only one,
yeah.
So. Yes, again, I like how they're using science to kind of figure this thing out. They're not allowing themselves to be mystified. I mean, once you get over the initial, like, oh shit, that's weird. You start breaking it down. I think logic kind of kicks in. And you're like, okay, that's one of the way to make something less scary. Is when you can link it to something that makes sense. I mean, yeah, it looks big, it's scary, but at the same time, it is a living thing. It is an organism. I mean, which means, all right, it's like Arnold from Predator. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Basically, that whole line is like basically saying, okay, yes, it's formidable, but it's not immortal. It's still a living thing. You know what I mean? It is, like all biology, it is, prone to some degree of weakness. So, I think for her, the fact she was reading the book and I think it's for her, it's a coping mechanism. That's how she's dealing with it.
It's focusing on something that's related, but not focusing on the horrible...
Well, she's reducing it in her mind to something tangible. Okay, a lion is scary. Uh-oh. But at the same time, we know a lion can be killed. If you have a shotgun, you point at the lion, you pull the trigger, you shoot in the head, the lion will die. It's a big, powerful predator, but we can kill it. The Demigorgon, yeah, it's big, it's scary, it's got a big, alien egg, shark mouth face. It's scary, but in theory, if it eats, it means it needs to eat to survive, da-da-da. So again, you point a shotgun on its face, pull the trigger, it will probably die too. So I think by her turning it into just an animal, it helps her deal with it, because she realizes that it's not beyond being dealt with. And if we can deal with it, we can save ourselves from it. Which is why all the promos for season 2 look really scary, because that thing is fucking huge, and we're seeing... You would need a lot of shotguns for that one. And I also love, too, like, the Demigorgon is not the only predator. It's like you have the government. It's almost like the Demigorgon hunts at night. The government is hunting them during the day. And you can make your argument, which one's really more dangerous? Because the government, they're killing people. Like, they're not any different than the Demigorgon, really. They're lethal. It's almost like... But they're hiding in plain sight. They're using camouflage,
You tell him.
Get him! God, love it. So true. I remember having these conversations when I was a kid too. Like, yep, you start some shit, like it's the way it is, Except we were usually just hitting each other, but I love that segue how I did it. Oh, God, it's gut wrenching because she behaves like an abused child. Like, she's lying in bed, the lights come on, she knows the abuse is coming. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's so painful to watch.
No, it's probably the only time they pay attention to her is when she's going through stuff.
Well, exactly. She's like, an abuse victim. It's like
Yeah.
a lot of times that's really the only time, children who are abused in households, really the only time they get attention from the abuser. It's when they're being abused. So it's like,
She's still carrying the wig around.
carrying that wig.
Even though you can tell it's like the crap wig.
Yeah, no.
It's not the good wig.
That's not the wig that needs to stay on.
No, it's not the lace front.
Again, I think for her, she was, it symbolized a life that's not hers.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted
She
that to
couldn't
be
be normal.
Yeah. She's got a good scream. If she trains that up a little bit, it could be a band with her name on it. I was looking online. These girls are twins.
I was wondering.
Yeah, because I saw that the sister has the two. Yeah, I noticed that with a lot of times, little obviously the Olsen twins are famous for doing that. But I see they did that a lot too because
Man, I had to lock my door, and if I ever got caught with my door locked, I would have been in deep shit.
I love that because she was once a teenage girl too. She knows all the tricks.
Yeah.
And I love how they play the mom up like that too. You can tell the mom was like a cool kid too in school, so she's not falling for this shit. She's like, bitch, please. Not in the mood for your shit, is what that look says to me. Oh, that's cold. He's just dragging it out. I love it. Yep. Wait. I love it. Oh God, their dynamic is so good. Like, I heard this is a really rigorous casting process too. Like, I heard they had to go. They were really like.
Yeah, they went through like 800 or 900 guys and then like 400 girls, from what I saw. I think
Yeah,
it was
they were
something
like.
that.
But again, it's one of those things where. It's funny. The actor Caleb here plays Lucas. Apparently, he played young Simba in the Lion King Broadway show.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Broadway.
Ouch.
I'm flying solo.
I know, right? Although this really does feel like a small town.
I know.
You kill those little rundown places.
She's like, those opened and I didn't use my mind. Poor 11.
I know.
And it's funny because it's like, this is clearly the first time she's been surrounded by people.
Like normal, yeah.
Like, well, yeah, obviously these guys all work there, so. Back in the tank. I love how those are like clearly just like headphone adapters or something that are like plugged in on her head thing. It looks techy enough though.
Yeah. Again, all the technology feels very tangible.
Hmm. Fucking brave going back. I mean, I guess she
I
doesn't
know.
actually have a choice, but the fact that she's like, oh god, I know it's in here somewhere now.
Well, again, before it was an accident. She was just looking for a guy before. Now it's like,
Mm-hmm.
there's a monster there. I love this part. See, I love for her, it's not just an insult. It's a term to describe danger, potentially. Like, people who are called that are potentially problems, you know what I mean? It's
She's
almost like if
like,
she calls you a mouth breather, it's like a rattlesnake shaking its rattle. You know what I mean? It's a warning. She's like, I know what you are. I don't like what you are. Keep away from me, kind of thing. Look at her. Just get the Magos. See, I don't think they would have had automatic doors back in 1983. I just noticed that now.
yeah, I didn't think about that, but I think you're right.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't have had those. I mean, it's something that couldn't exist. I'm trying to remember when I started seeing automatic doors. It starts to make me feel old when I start thinking like, hey, because most people are like, don't they always have that? Like,
I
nope.
know.
No, you wouldn't have had an
I'm
automatic
trying
door
to
back
remember
then. You would have had
too.
to open a door. So that's a little,
But again, it's like you can't
yeah.
change the doors just
I mean, they
for.
would have to spend money to replace the doors, blah blah.
Yeah.
Because they also use a real grocery store. That's the thing. Even if you were to see them around, it would have been only like in a big city. You know what I mean? A
Yeah.
small rural town like that, hell no. Everything is analog. Again, I love how these two have become kind of like the reluctant detectives. Now, this is a component of the story that I'm very curious to see if it's going to come back into play in season two. Like, I'm again, they're looking obviously uncovering Eleven's background, and I think it's implying here that basically, yeah, this is Eleven's.
Oh. So I just looked it up. It said the first automatic door was invented in 1954. It was installed in 1960 and made use of a mat actuator.
Well, yeah, but then my point is, you wouldn't have seen that in a small town. Like,
By the 80s, maybe. If it was made in
no,
the
because
60s.
in the '80s I was in like bigger towns than that, and we
I
didn't
don't
have
know.
them. Like I remember big grocery stores and like suburban sprawls, and we didn't have
Oh,
things.
man.
Again, if you went to like a big city, yeah, probably, but like
Yeah.
this is a little supposed to be nowhere town in
Well,
Indiana.
technically they were there, so I guess that was just a really lucky small town.
Oh yeah, there. It's very town's very ahead of its time.
Maybe the government put it
I was
there.
gonna be like, yeah, the government's like, we're so used to all our high tech shit in our lab, we don't want to have to open doors. So here's a little tech for you guys. Maybe that's how the government
Those are a
got.
lot of big ass houses,
Yeah,
by
I
the
know.
way. Like, that is a nice
I
neighborhood.
know.
Damn.
Maybe that's how the government got the town to like sign off on the lab. Like, we don't want your lab in our town. Like, how about some electric doors? Alright. It's like a little bribe. Like, yeah, you'll never have to open doors again. See, again, this is very interesting. This dynamic where that's how it worked. That's how the hierarchy worked. It's like when you were a kid. It's like
Yeah.
you have to know the person. Now it's like there's so many people who are friends with each other, and are have never really met each other online. You know what I mean? Like you're a friend of a friend. You're a friend to people. We've known people like that where it's like, yeah, I've never actually met the person in real life. I just
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's back then. It was like. No, you were friends with the people you knew. They had to be there. They had to be there for a while. You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
you have to put in work if you wanted to be someone's friend, especially a best friend. It's like, oh shit, you have to
Mm.
clock in some hours.
And then there's the BFF.
You'll be BFFs, man. We have to clock in years for that.
Sometimes I feel like somebody's watching me.
Right? But yeah, I'd be curious to see if maybe she comes back into the mix.
Mm.
This is true too. I know the CIA was testing like LSD and stuff on people, trying to really see like what it was doing to people's minds and like So there is some degree in truth
Yeah.
of the truth in all this. Again, it was more like people always assumed it was for more nefarious purposes. Which, hey, I don't know.
Probably was to an extent.
Maybe yeah. I mean, who knows what they were trying to do, obviously. But obviously, here they're using this as kind of like a backbone to kind of explain something more heinous. You know what I mean? Really, really heinous. But again, this is a period of time where the distrust of the government was at an all-time high. Everyone, not just assumed, but most people knew the government was up to shady shit. You know what I mean? So people were always assuming the worst of the worst of the worst. Which again, I don't know. For all I know, it could all be true. But so I love how they're building off something that was known, and then they're using the paranoia surrounding that to kind of build off their story, saying, "Yeah, no, they really were doing super horrible things on, and it was really your worst fears, confirmed that."
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I've never been like exactly clear right here. They said she miscarried in the third trimester, but I'm like, okay, did she actually have the kid? And that's 11.
I think that's what they're
Like
implying, yeah.
Because I've never been entirely sure of what that was.
Yeah, I think they're implying, yeah, that's her mom. That basically they were trying to get her to bring it to term to a certain degree, and then they would just make up a cover say, "Oh, sorry, you lost your kid," blah 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 blah. And again, if they start with like LSD, would say the drugs got worse. I think it's LSD was like the cover. They start them doing that. Oh yeah, see, it's a drug. We're just trying to see what it does.
Well, yeah, basically they shut her up so she wouldn't ask about her kid.
Yeah, and then they gave them like the real drugs, basically. The one that. Again, everything she's saying is true. That's the scary thing. It's like and it kind of shows you like showing you how deep the government reached into people's lives.
Yeah.
It reached right into like a woman's body, you know what I mean, and took the most personal thing from her, basically, you know what I mean. And that just kind of shows you just how nefarious, this really is. There's no boundaries to them. There's no line that we can't cross. Like if it can be done, it will be done. You know what I mean? Like any mean, the ends justify literally any means. So it kind of shows you like what they're up against. So it makes you wonder who's worse, them or the Demigorg. And again, I refer back to Aliens when they find out Burke, played by Paul Reiser, who's going to be in season 2 of Stranger Things, it was willing to like kill basically Ripley and Newt to get a xenomorph back for the company. And Ripley, when they confront him, is like she goes, "Bert, I don't know which species is worse. You don't see them fucking each other over for a goddamn percentage." You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Basically, the aliens are just animals. They're driven by instinct. It's nothing personal. Whereas you're a human being, and you're doing this to us. Man, what are you kids into? It's like it's gonna be a hell of a date night. Guns, guns, guns!
I'm just like, how much money are they spending right here, though? For the bullets alone, it'd be expensive.
I know. Again, your dad's a hunter, right? So you'd be able to like price this stuff out a little bit.
I don't know exactly. I just know bullets are expensive, and there's all that other crap.
And those are like what, shotgun shells they're using? Those aren't even like
I don't know. I don't know much about guns.
Yeah, those are like shells for a shotgun. Yeah. Hi-oh. I'm like, legally, would it be allowed to sell them all that anyway? I don't know. Again. And now we are arriving to ultimate douche moment.
Yep.
But again, like the dad, when you see it, it doesn't make it cool at all, but you kind of understand why.
Radio Shack.
Remember those folks? Doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. And there's a big difference between explanation and excuse.
Well, and here's the thing. Technically, it was the friend. It wasn't Steve.
Well, yeah, it's not him, but he didn't stop it from happening.
Yeah,
I mean,
he let it happen.
It's like, if I saw someone doing that to a friend of mine or whatever, their name, I'd put a stop to it. Yeah, so from her perspective, it's like, what the fuck? From his perspective, you got to realize, yeah, he feels kind of betrayed. Bam. Ooh. God, his friends are despicable. Like, but again, you ask yourself, like, why would you be friends with people like that? But again, if you grow up with people like that, you're a little kid. So by the time you guys develop, it's kind of like, well, they're a part of the fabric of my life. Obviously, I think if he met them now, he would be friends with, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they've always been there, so it's like, man, it's a small town. It's like, social suicide is kind of a big deal. Again, and from that perspective, again, you realize he's kind of hurt. He kind of you know what I mean? Oh. It's funny, I heard in an interview that this scene actually goes down differently initially how they scripted it. There's going to be a fight, and Byers is going to win. Like, yeah, he knocks his ass out, or, well, he's going to. But initially, they had, was it Steve win the fight? But they decided to change it. And to be fair, this guy needs a win at this point.
Yeah.
He needs a win. Get him. Ow, okay. Ah. There we go. And apparently he hit him for real by accident. So when he has the makeup of, like, the busted up face coming up,
yeah,
underneath that his actual eye was like swollen.
Jesus.
So when there's a scene coming up later on where he's gonna have to walk up and talk to, like, the people trying to clean up the theater.
Yeah.
Oh, assaulting an officer. He says, yeah, that day sucked because I was in so much pain. So I have to sit there and act when my face was just in pain.
Oh. Naturally, Steve the Juice got away.
And again, but because it happened for the reasons that it did, you don't completely dismiss Steve. Because it wasn't that he just it was like, oh, I don't want to have sex with you. Okay, now I'm going to have my friends write you're a slut. No. He was he thought that, okay, she had a valid reason, he respected her reason, and then from her perspective, it was like, okay, now she's going to go around behind your back and fool around with, some other guy. The guy who was taking creepy photos of you, no less. You know what I mean? So from his perspective, again, I wouldn't have let my friends do what they did, but I would have confronted her. But I don't blame him for being angry, because from his perspective, yeah, it looks like what it looks like, and can you blame him? So I like how the show is, making it so you're still not writing him off. Yeah, see right here, I love that, where he's like, see, something terrible went down. Something terrible went down with him. And they're going to show it, and when they do it, it's one of those gut-wrenching things, I think, in this whole show. His backstory in a weird way is almost as tragic as 11, maybe even more so, actually. Because for better or for worse, 11 doesn't really know a before or after. You know what I mean? She didn't know any different until recently, whereas him, he had something really good and then lost it.
Or the fact that we, saw a monster together, survived, it.
Well, I mean, if there was ever something that, bring two people together, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, you go through enough shit together. That and the fact I'm sure these two are not terrible looking to one another. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. It's kind of a natural,
And they're
thing.
they're not exactly childhood friends, but their brothers are, so.
Yeah. And again, it's a small town, so if nothing
Yeah.
else, they knew of each other. It's not like they're, going to school in like New York City or LA or something where it's like, okay, see if nameless faces. Here it's like,
Yeah.
you know, you just kind of know, even if you don't know each other. I love this right here. Just
I'm just like, did she let them get on thought? I hope first. How many did she eat? Damn.
I'm wondering if her power is like speed up her metabolism or something.
I don't know.
Like
I was
I'd be
wondering.
curious
She
because
probably
again, that's a
needs more
lot of fucking
energy.
egos.
Yeah.
Again, that's something I'd be kind of curious to explore in the in season two. Like we see like her psychic ability, but does it have any kind of effect on? Oh, there we go.
See, I'm just like, what the fuck are they just doing wandering in the woods?
Hey, we used to do that too. So to be fair, again, this is before internet and all that. Wasn't a lot to do.
I
Like,
mean, I wandered in the woods too, but I
the,
mean, maybe it's because where I was, there's no other kids really.
well,
So
again, back in the days before like the digital world, it's like your world was only as big as where you lived.
yeah,
So you could only do as much as you could do where you lived. So if you had like when I moved to Missouri like in '94, it was the first time I had like forest and woods around me. So I was like, "What do you guys do for fun around here?" Like, "Well, we go in the woods."
I know.
Okay, let's go in the woods. There's nothing else to do. Like,
We used to go up on the mountain
you
across
know,
from my dad's place.
even with video games, like there was no online gaming. It was like, okay, you played at home with your friends, local co-op, which by the way I really really miss, but that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
Climb, and then we go outside and what do you do? I don't know, climb a fucking tree. Let's go hiking by a creek. Let's just hang out, ride our bikes. There's nothing else to do. You know what I mean? There was nothing else to do. You go to the arcade, go to buy comic books. There's nothing else to do. Like, people don't realize that, all you could do was whatever was around. So if you're in a small town, well, what else is there to do? Hang out in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, even it was a lot of times we were bored. We're just walking around the woods, nothing better to do. But we literally had nothing better to do. So it's not uncommon the idea of thinking like, yeah, you would run into people in the woods. We did. It's like, hey, hey, I would not be running with that switchblade out.
I know.
Where the hell did he go?
I know.
That's a big roundabout. Like, where the fuck did he run? Like, to get on the other side of him like that? Oh, come on. Yeah, I kind of agree with him on that one. I forget the name of it, but the disorder that he suffers from, the guy who plays Dustin.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they worked it into the show.
Yeah.
Like again, it's something that and I guess he's been like bringing awareness to it since then. You know what I mean? Which is kind of cool. But I guess it's cost him roles and stuff in the past.
Yeah.
So I love how not only did he get this role, but the Duffer Brothers worked it into the actual show. You know what I mean? I thought it was really cool. He's a funny guy too. I've seen him in so many interviews. He's a riot. I love he's basically this guy, and apparently he's a big fan of like the '80s. So a lot of these references and all that, he gets all of them.
Yeah.
Like he talks like Goonies is one of his favorite movies. So for him, this is kind of like a dream come true, being able to play like an '80s kid in the kind of story that the movies he watched. So I don't know. I love him. He's not hipster about it. He like legit like has a love for it. Now, this is a true friend right here. That's a friend right there. her. That's awesome. If he did fall in the water, I would have pushed those other two guys in.
Oh, I was thinking
like,
that
all right,
too.
well, fuck you too. But no, that's awesome. Oh, that's a cool shot. It's done really well. Obviously, it's a digital shot, but which again, if they used only technology from the '80s to do that shot, they would not have been able to do that shot.
Yeah.
So that's my point. Or it would have been a really kind of crappy like composite shot. It's on. Look, I love that. Look at her. Look at her. She is. Oh, it's awesome. She's not fucking around. Badass. Love her. That's my girl. That's my dog right there. Yeah, that's not really an empty thread either.
I know, right?
Ooh. I love this part coming up right here. It's the way it's shot. It's so cool. Again, I love how it's in the distance. And again, watch under the skin. And here's one of a practical effect coming up. I think the mouth that they're showing here is digital.
Yeah.
The mouth like leaf flat opening, but I think the body here is practical.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's. I mean, they could have done like, yeah, right here. This is practical. It's hard to say if that's a digital shot or
It
a
looks
practical.
digital.
Like, yeah, it's hard. I mean, that's insane. And then now we're getting our look at how the portal was created. Kind of shows how powerful her mind is, though. She can do that. Yep. That's just basically what she's been doing this whole time, saving them. God, that poor girl. Like, she's a little stand by me moment here. Again, these little touches like this, it's how you buy this friendship. I mean, you really adhere yourself to these characters. I know, I love this shot. It's very telling moment, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the kind of bond you can only form when you hang outside on your bike with your friend. You're not going to get friendship like this on Facebook. Damn.
Let's go get our little
I know.
girl.
Let's go kill these kids. It's like, Jesus Christ. Well, I guess 11's with them, but I'm assuming they're not going to try to kill her. So, in theory, all they have to worry about are these other kids. I'm like, really? You guys needed to bring in the whole, like, Delta Force for that? See, at this point, why even have, like, the fake vans? Just, it's like, who are you fooling,
I know. Well,
What kind of
I
cable
mean, it's
problem do
weird
you
that
have?
they'd all be there now, obviously, but like otherwise, it's kind of like, it wouldn't be if you're just a normal person. It
I
wouldn't
guess,
be that out
yeah.
of the ordinary to see it. I mean, we see Cincinnati Bell vans all the time. You think that's the government coming around?
Yeah, well, now I do. Shit, thanks for that. Now that I'm fucking paranoid as hell. Great. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you on Chapter 7. Peace.
Peace.